inspired me to join the competition is because just I love writing a lot. I do it a lot, and it's something I view as like a unique way to express my thoughts, opinions, and emotions. And I'm really invested in like being able to make change. Like I do debate in school and stuff like that, and I really like love talking about different issues politically, socially, and like how we can come to solutions to make the world a better place, I guess. And I feel like writing is a really strong way for me personally to be able to do that. And also to push my writing skills and be able to think critically about like a topic that I care a lot about, which is like women's education, like women's equality in general. And so I think that I learned a lot more about that issue, and I was also able to interpret it in a way that was meaningful to me. What inspired me to write the essay is because I grew up with a sister my whole life. She's my older sister, and she's also like my best friend. And something that's like kind of come out like been like important in our family because I have a sister, especially like with recent issues, especially in the US with women's rights being a talk of like political question, I think is just like more conversations about women's oppression and women's rights in general, and like those have been prevalent in my childhood. And so it's like issues that I've already been kind of passionate about and like wanted to know more about. But then I've also like being Indian, kind of I've associated like academic like striving for academic success as like an integral part of like my identity. And I think a lot of other Indian and Asian kids would agree with that as well, because it's just kind of like part of that sort of like American dream type of thing that comes with having an immigrant parents. And so, but it never felt like something that was tied to gender as much as like my ethnic identity, I guess. So like I didn't view my success differently from my sister's success or like my other friends who are girls. It was all just kind of like the same. But then when I like learn about things in other countries, and especially like in India, where I see this ideal as something that's like integral to my Indian identity, but girls in India aren't getting those same opportunities that girls in my life have gotten and people around me are getting every single day. It's just really disheartening. And I wanted to explore that issue and like explore solutions on how we can tackle it. Through my research, I learned a lot, obviously, about just the topic in general and more statistics and kind of analysis about like what it looks like for girls in India, especially in like rural communities where they're deprived of like rights to education, and how that can lead to like really tragic life events like not being able to pursue a career, being pigeonholed into a specific type of home life, and even like really bad things like sexual abuse, domestic violence, and child marriage and pregnancy, and a lot of these things that can really hinder a person's development, happiness, and overall quality of life. And it just like it made me learn overall that education and as a like a tenant is such an important and like vital part of a person's life and development and in creating our societies. So when you deprive certain people of that, it's really, really harsh and tragic on those people. And obviously, we want people to be leading better lives, but it's also bad for society in general to have groups of people that aren't educated and aren't going through these things when really we could be creating a more enriched world with more discourse and more education and knowledge if everybody has is on an even playing field. So I think I came to understand just the importance of education on top of like why it's so like how horrible it is when you take that out of the equation of someone's life. I think that one, it really stood out to me how much it statistically leads to things like domestic violence, because I always kind of viewed the issue as something that was like, okay, yes, they don't necessarily have good opportunities and they deserve the right to education, but their life without it, I didn't really understand how big of it and profound of an impact that could have on someone's life. But now, like, I, it's like was really shocking to understand how like it can the effects are just terrible. Like the way it can put you through so much pain and so much grief in your life, and how these women are not only being put through pain, but it also is depriving them of the ability to build that generational knowledge and to kind of break the cycle, because then future generations of girls and their daughters and so on are going to be facing the same circumstances unless there's something in there to interject and break the cycle. And so that was something I really found really meaningful to learn. And then also just kind of like the sheer mass of women who don't have education. Once again, just because I've always viewed India as kind of just this haven of learning and like this place where education is prioritized above like a lot of things. And that's what makes it such a productive society. But then learning the sheer volume of people that don't have access to it, it just didn't make sense to me. Um, I do really believe that like writing is a way for me to be able to do those things because I love it so much and I work on it a lot. And I really want to be part of a solution, whether that be by like one day having means to donate to really big causes or like, but for right now, I do think that like participating in things that allow me to write about the and spread awareness through media are really great ways for me to kind of be part of it. And for example, this summer I worked on an internship with Akanksha, which is a educational like nonprofit that works through India to provide education to underserved communities. And I worked in like a media and marketing type of internship, and I was able to write a lot about the like impacts of education on people's lives. And I think that participating in things like that and even just like volunteering at any organization I can are great ways for me to be able to help.